central ball.
Yeah.
It's affected by what's happened before, but it's also having a flow-on effect to what's happening after as well. And so by looking at each mealtime event as that, it takes some of the pressure off a little bit for you as a parent, because instead of going, I have to get X amount of this food and X amount of that food into my child, you can look at it as there's reasons why my child does or doesn't eat this particular food at the moment.
Yeah.
So that's the past experiences are having an impact. But then also there's things I can do in this mealtime that will increase my child's chances of having a successful meal next time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, this is particularly important if you've got a situation where maybe you haven't had a great relationship with your child around food and there has been a bit of argy-bargy and fighting going on, or the dinner disasters, as I call it, or the table tanties, where both mum and child are usually in tears by the end of the meal. And if that's been what's happened before, it'll take time for both of you to trust each other and for both of you to be able to actually learn that new way of interacting around food. So but don't be surprised if it doesn't just go, if it's not all, fairy rainbows right at the start. So in order to make a mealtime routine work, the important thing is making sure that your child's cued in for the meal. So they know when mealtime's coming.
With my son, ever since he was little, he always asks what's for dinner in the morning.
Yep.
He still does it. He still sends me a text message almost every day, and he's 19, asking me what's for dinner.
And that is actually around, now he was your one that was a bit tricky, was he?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yep. And that is what we see, is that kids that mealtimes are a little bit challenging for, they will ask more often and earlier what's for dinner than children who have no sort of, concerns around food.
You and is happy to eat whatever you put in front of them because they trust you. Obviously, it's not going to be an issue for them.
Yeah. And they might ask what's for dinner right at the moment that they're hungry, but that's more to cue you in that, hey, Mum, I'm hungry and I want some dinner right now, rather than what's for dinner, as in I'm sussing out how big the enemy is tonight.
You know what he does now that he's 19, he has a girlfriend? He'll check with me what I'm cooking, and sometimes he checks with her what her parents are cooking, and he'll go there. And he's like, and sometimes he's had 2 dinners, because he's like, oh, I'm going to have a bit of both, actually. I'm like, he actually asked it. It's so funny. Yeah.
That's gold. Yeah, so for those kids that have had bad experiences in the past, they will need more preparation and more lead-in time. Had a really interesting experience actually with one little fella that I worked with, where we'd done a lot of therapy. He was quite anxious about meals, and we'd done a lot of therapy. He'd started to calm down around mealtime, but his mum said he was still just taking so long to eat. And it was really interesting because when I actually went and did a home visit, I noticed that he still had all these stress cues as he would sit in his chair.
Yeah, right.
And then about 10 minutes into the meal, you could see his body just started to relax and he settled down, and then he started to eat.
Yeah, right.
And it was really interesting because I said to Mum, look, why don't you just try for the next week, giving him heads up that it's nearly dinner time and he can sit up and watch while you set the table and get things out and bring things over to the table. Give him that little bit of time to actually settle before the meal starts. Now, for this little guy, he was not a escape artist or a throw himself out of the chair sort of kid. So obviously that strategy is not going to work for everybody. But for this little fella, the difference it made in the amount he could eat at each mealtime was instantaneous.
That's the end of our second video with Rachel Tosh from Speech Parent. We've got one more coming up in the series, and big thank you to Rachel for the interviews. If you'd like to stay tuned with more about what Rachel does and what we do here at Secret Superpowers, you can enter your details at one of the links around, whether you're on the YouTube or the Facebook. Thank you for watching. Feel free to post any questions on our wall or Rachel's wall in relation to this, and keep evolving. Have a good day. Bye.